If you need to reference it later, it will be up on Canvas and YouTube. My name is Sean Sarcona. That's my name. That's my email address. The best way to contact me is my email address. Okay. I have a phone number there. It goes to voicemail. I don't check my voicemail terribly too often. Okay. So if you need to, email me. This is our class dates. There's the times. There's the room number. Required materials, writing utensil. Does anyone not have a writing utensil today? Everyone has one. Awesome. Recommended material is an Everlast Rocket book or something to take notes in. So this is one that I recommend. The reason I recommend it is because it's kind of like dry erase paper. Is you can go in here and you can actually obviously write stuff down, take notes. You can mark the little bottom thing here. There's a bunch of little icons. And wherever you've set it up inside the app that comes with this, you take a picture of that screen and it'll automatically upload it to wherever you specified. So for like this would go to my sketches folder. This would go to like my formulas folder or After Effects folder. Okay, so I can automatically make notes and have them sent to those appropriate areas. And I think there's like seven different spots you can set up. And what's neat too is you can collaborate. So if you have people that are in a group and you want to sketch stuff together, everyone can have their stuff sent to that one folder, which is again really handy. Okay, not required but definitely recommended. The bookstore doesn't have it, so just find it on Amazon. Also a sketchbook you will need. Here's two that I recommend. These are typically the ones that I use. Is this one, which has the white paper in it, which is nice and clean drawings. And then the toned tan one. Obviously this one doesn't scan as nicely as that one if you need to scan it and input it and do whatever. Or you can grab some other kind of sketchbook. It doesn't matter to me as long as you have something to sketch with. Portable is always my first choice because I want to have something I can basically bring around with me wherever I go. I recommend getting a fidget cube, chewing gum, or silly putty. Something to keep your brain active while I'm talking, while we're in class. Maybe you're waiting for something to render and you just want to keep your brain active. I usually have playing cards and I'll just kind of shuffle the playing cards as I'm waiting for something to happen with that. So anything like that works. External hard drive of 250 gigs or more. If you're in other classes, try to get one that's big enough for all the classes. That way you don't have separate ones you're trying to figure out which one is which. 250 gigs should be plenty of space for this class. We're not going to get heavy into modeling in here, but we will do a lot of rendering. And because this is an animation class, we're rendering out a lot of animations, which will use up a lot of space, which will obviously not be 250 gigs in size, but they'll be pretty big, okay? Also a pair of headphones. Because I record all the lectures, you want to have something where you can go back to and reference. So you want to be able to hear what I'm saying in the lectures. I also recommend at least 4 to 6 hours outside of class to set aside to work on stuff. So one of our assignments is bouncing ball. Your first time doing it, it may not look good. Your second time will look better. Your third time will look better. Your fourth time will look better, okay? The more times you do it, eventually you'll hit a plateau, but eventually it takes a while to get to that point, okay? You may not be able to do all those times in class, so spending a couple hours outside of class to master those techniques will really help you along the way, okay? Any generic Maya book or 3D book is definitely an optional recommended. Animation is a huge area, so one of the things that is inside animation is obviously character animation. We've all seen that before, like Toy Story and Pixar and that kind of stuff. But also, like, rigging is a huge thing. And rigging is basically you're setting up the characters to be animated. So sometimes you'll find like a technical engineering book is a good thing to have, or a animation book. There's lots of different things you can find with that. And the good thing about animation is that it really doesn't, the techniques are pretty much the same thing throughout. Like, animation really hasn't evolved crazy amounts like the software has. You know, you do a walk cycle in a very similar fashion now than you did years ago. Character animation. Holy cow. There we go. By George. Oops, not put B George. George. Nope. That's a good one here. So Animator Survival Kit, that's a good book to have. You'll see like how often do you see that? 5 stars on Amazon, like 5 solid stars? Never. These ones too, George Mestre, they're really good. They basically go through just mechanics of how people move. The biggest thing with animation is you can't just like jump in and start animating something. You have to understand how it's supposed to move. So the way a person moves is very, like, you may not have ever like thought about it before, but there's a lot of stuff that happens inside. So like when I raise my hand up like this, I have my shoulder obviously that has rotated upwards, but if I just rotate my shoulder down, see how I have my collarbone is still up. Your shoulder only goes that far. That's as far as I can rotate my shoulder. From here, it's my collarbone, okay? So that's the kind of stuff you have to understand if you're gonna do an animation, that all has to work together. If you look at old animations like early Toy Story versus late Toy Story, or early realistic animations versus later ones like even Jurassic Park, you'll see there's a lot of stuff that they've added to it. Stuff like muscle jiggling, or when they flex their arms or legs or whatever, that their muscles are actually like bulging, or they hit the ground and their legs kind of like shake a little bit. All of those things are part of that animation, okay, and part of the rigging. So if you can find a good book, I don't know why that came up, that's awesome. If you can find a good book for just basic animation stuff, definitely see if you can get it. You might be able to find one at the library too. Those George Mestre ones, they're like super thin. You could probably like page through it in a weekend. It's out in there. Pluralsight. So we discovered that the price of this has actually gone up. It used to be $100 for the year, now it's $175. And if you go to, whoops, EMU bookstore, Eastern Michigan's bookstore has it. Apparently ours doesn't have it anymore. And you look up Pluralsight, you'll see it's like $175.50, which is a weird price. But you can get Pluralsight for $175.50 for the year. It's still a good price. It's a bit more expensive than it was. But it goes into a lot more detail than we will go into in this class. We're going to touch on basic animation, setting keyframes, adjusting things, foundational stuff. We'll touch on rigging. We'll touch on character animation. And that's pretty much the class. But in here, they have classes that are just, I'll just look up character animation, that are 34 hours of character, it's modeling. There you go. Character animation in Unity and Maya, so 2 hours and 45 minutes. Animating CC, walk cycle, biped character in Maya, indie game development, animation techniques, animating a cartoon in Maya, animating a next gen in Maya. So they've got like hours and hours and hours of stuff just on character animation. And then you add in motion graphics animation, which a lot of you are motion graphics people, not 3D specific people. And there's a whole bunch of motion graphics animation inside of there as well, okay? So if you do have the funds and you do have the time to actually watch the stuff, I recommend getting a Pluralsight account. The software we'll be using for the class is Adobe CC. Basically like Photoshop, maybe Illustrator, Maya definitely, and definitely Arnold. Okay, those are the 3 packages we'll be using. Maya is free. If you haven't had any of the intro classes, I think only 2 people have had. You've had, not the intro, the modeling one. The one before this you haven't had yet. The intro to 3D? No. Yeah, the modeling and rendering. So only 2 people have used Maya before in the class. 3 people have used Maya before in the class. Yeah, 4-ish. 3.5. I'll count you as a half. So 3.5 people have used Maya before. Okay, and it's funny that you guys are all in that row. Maya is a new software to you. We'll spend the first day or so kind of getting used to the interface. It might be a review, but oh well. It's free to download, so if you go to Autodesk's site and you look for studentsautodesc.com, you'll find Maya 3 years for free to download and use, okay? And it's usually pretty quick. I recommend, or I want you to, before next class, to actually go to the site, download the software, and make sure that it works on your station. If you plan on using it at home, make sure it works. And then Arnold is free with Maya. If you don't have Adobe, does anyone not have Adobe at home? Everyone has Adobe, good. Okay, skip that. Photoshop, Illustrator, and After Effects, the 3 softwares that you should always have on there. All right, so in this course, you'll be working with animations of inanimate objects and characters. We'll be doing some rigging. A lot of this is going to be studying movement and then applying that movement to things and trying to get the most realistic look out of each thing, okay? Here are our assignments. Hotkey test, definitions test, same thing we always have. Those will happen about the mid to end of September, those two tests. We'll have a Game of Thrones animation. That's like our first thing that we do. It's just a really good like kind of primer just to understand the Maya interface, understand how animating works, keyframes, dope sheet, that kind of thing, and then how to render stuff out and put it together. So it's just kind of like a transitional assignment. There's nothing crazy fancy you'll do with it. It's just transitional from one class to the other. When we get to the stick animation, the bouncing ball, that's when we're starting to get a little bit more creative and kind of creating our own stuff, okay? It doesn't look like a lot of assignments, but some of these are going to take some time to do, especially if you don't put in the time to learn how to set keyframes properly over here. When we get to the rigging part, you're going to have a really hard time, okay? All of my points are added up. So if you have 100 points for a class, that's like an A. If you don't turn in, let's say, animation, that's just 15 points right off, okay? So you don't want to do that, obviously. Also, all my points for assignments add up to 90 points. I have going beyond. So all of my assignments, I've given the nuts and bolts to each assignment so that it's like, this is, in order to learn the basics of what I'm trying to show you, this is what it is. Those extra 10 points, so those other 10 points, are extra stuff that you should do or could do to add on top of your stuff to make it look better. So for instance, when someone did a bouncing ball last time, the assignment is you're going to animate a ball rolling, it bounces, and then it rolls some more. That's all the assignment is. Just the gist of how to animate something. Going beyond to get those extra points, this student took the ball and made it look like a tennis ball. And then they made the ground look like grass. And then they put in a stadium picture in the background. So it actually looked like a tennis ball bouncing on a field. Okay? That's going beyond. That's taking the skills that I'm giving you and pushing them to make it your own. All the stuff here is to learn animation. You're not here to learn animation. You're here to learn skills that you could then apply to your demo reel to then get a job doing this kind of stuff. So everything you output, you should really kind of focus on how can I customize it for myself so that it is a personal project, not just a class assignment, right? Does that make sense? Except for Game of Thrones. Just Game of Thrones is just in and out. We're going to be done with that one. Point deduction. So you get points deducted for texting during class. And this area is loose. The texting during class is not a huge deal unless it becomes a huge deal, unless you're spending more time texting than you're actually spending working on your stuff, okay? Texting during a lecture, that's a definite no-no, so I'm not leaning on that one. Attendance, there's some point deductions there. Other stuff, you can read that. Keys to success in the class, showing up on time, ready to work, paying attention during lectures, taking notes, make sure you understand what's required, work during class, do homework, meet deadlines, ask questions, and push your skills. These are things that I constantly see out of my top students. My top students typically do all of those things. And I'm not talking about top student as like everyone's getting an A kind of thing, but the people who fully understand what's going on in the class and the assignments and all that do all of those things. Keys to failure, these other things. Missing classes, constantly being late. Socializing, making up excuses why your work isn't done. Guessing what's required, not taking notes, and turning in work as you feel like it. Guessing what's required is usually where people have the most hang-ups because, I'll give you an example of the bouncing ball. The assignment is, and I say it like 1,000 times, so I'm not sure how it gets messed up. 2 seconds of rolling, 3 main bounces and some trickling bounces, 2 seconds of rolling. That's all it is. Okay, that's the assignment. What I get sometimes is the ball bouncing. That's it. There's no rolling at the beginning, there's no rolling at the end. It doesn't look realistic. The trickling bounces aren't there. Okay? So make sure you're understanding exactly what's turning in, because if you remember from the first class, anytime you rendered something out, you hit that render button and you might wait, what, an hour, 2 hours, a day for that thing to get out, and then you have to go back and fix a bunch of stuff. Make sure you have it right, then render it out, and then turn it in. Cool. Questions on the first sheet? No. All right. If you already have one of these, you don't need to take an extra one. No one in this row has it. So we'll give 4 here. You 3 have it. You have it. James doesn't have it. You 3 don't have it. There you go. And that is that. All right, so it says begin with the end in mind. What does that mean? Say it again. Before you start something, make sure you plan to finish it. Close. Sort of, kind of. It's a different thing I was thinking of. Oh, okay. What else? Try to visualize what you're going to end up with. Right. And that's not just for the assignments in the class. That's for everything, right? So we always want to have our mind set on where we're trying to get to, right? Because if we don't know where we're trying to get to, it's very difficult to get there, right? I put you in a field and I say find home, but you have no idea where home is, right? Same thing with mazes, right? If you ever do any of these maze puzzles in the back of kids' menus, you always start with the end in mind. You start at the end, you work your way back to the beginning. So when you look at your assignments, when you look at the class, when you look at your schooling, always consider what your end goal is. Like, where do I want to end up? What do I want to do? And then all the stuff from now until then are steps that you should be taking to get to there, right? So by the end of this class, we should have a firm understanding of how to animate stuff. We should have a firm understanding of how to do some basic rigging, not advanced stuff, because you could have 2 years of just rigging stuff. We don't have that. We have 2 assignments that have rigging. We want to make sure that you understand how to render stuff out, what makes things look good, and so all the stuff that we do goes towards that. So whenever I create any class, any assignment, I'm always considering what that end goal is, and I work my way backwards, okay? Classroom policies. So you should read all of the stuff that's inside here. I'm just going to hit on the highlights. Provided that the college is open, we will have class. So get here every day. If I'm not here for whatever reason, there's a meeting, students are asking me questions, whatever it is, stay here and do work, and then I will be here eventually, or someone will be here eventually. 3 tardies equals an absence, 12 tardies equals 4 absences. Absences greater than 4 equals a failing grade. Now this is something that is in there because if you just miss 4 classes because you don't want to come here, that's a horrible thing. You're paying to be here, you're paying for this time, you're paying for the education, you should spend that time being here. If there's for instance, that you can't be here because some people work, like I know a couple semesters ago, someone worked until 5 o'clock. They can't get here for a 5 o'clock class. Yeah, it's a 5 o'clock class. So they had to get here at 6 o'clock. So I'm not going to mark them tardy because they let me know ahead of time. They came as soon as they left work, and they actually made sure they were caught up on all of their work, okay? And they actually did like above stuff. So that's the kind of work ethic you have to have, that even if you are going to miss something, you're not going to fall behind, because that goes very bad for you if you start falling behind. Communicate is the big thing there. Assignments need to be turned in on time and at least 75% completed. So if you turn in your bouncing ball and you don't have the rolling at the beginning but everything else is good, that's probably about 75%. I'd be happy with that. I'd grade it, I would turn it back to you, and then you could fix it up and then submit it for higher points, okay? This is a learning environment, so I want you to be able to fix stuff and redo it, because that's how I learn stuff. If you turn in an assignment late, then you get a point deducted per day. So if an assignment's worth 4 points and it's 5 days late, well, you've just lost all the points for that assignment, okay? So don't turn in anything late. Pay attention during lectures, take notes, ask questions, do not work. So obviously, if I'm up here talking and showing you stuff, you should be paying attention to what that stuff is so that you know what I'm expecting you to do, so you don't forget something or miss something that I'm trying to say. Health and cleanliness. Don't leave a mess in the classroom. Junk, wrappers, whatever it is on the table is like a no-no. Don't spread your germs. If you are sick, there's hand sanitizer, there's wipes up here for your desk. You can clean the area, clean your hands, and sanitize the area before and after you leave. You don't know the animals that were in this class before you. They could be just like all over the place. You three know because you're here. Yeah. There is a student handbook. Make sure you read it and abide by it. Be respectful of the classroom equipment, furniture, and students. The chairs in here are pretty nice. These are new. I think last fall we got these, or last winter. So don't break them. Remember to be professional. There's no eating in the class. There's no eating in the class. There's no eating in the class. No eating in the class. And there is no eating in the class. So if you would like, the lab aides have plenty of pictures they could show you where they have uncovered mold and animals and gross stuff that they found laying around these rooms because people eat in them, and it's disgusting. So keep it clean. No food in here. There's plenty of areas outside you can eat. Doing the work. Plagiarism is a possible failing grade. It's only happened probably 5 times in my entire teaching career that someone has turned in someone else's work like completely, but it becomes a big red flag when it happens. It's pretty obvious too, because all of a sudden this person who wasn't doing good work, all of a sudden they're turning in like amazing work, and there's not really an excuse for it if they don't know how to do the stuff, and then we research, and yes, that was definitely someone else's work there. So never turn in anything that's not at least 95% yours. If I come to your desk and I help you out, you shouldn't just take that and say, okay, he did that part for me. You should say, okay, now how do I do that? Because you're trying to learn those tools, right? So you want to make sure that you know as much stuff as you can about the tools, about the techniques, so that you can apply it to your own stuff. You could fail the class if you steal someone else's work. You could fail, or you could be kicked out of the program. You could be kicked out of the college if it is like a big enough issue. Assignments are not accepted without a completed assignment sheet. We'll go over that when we get to it. Your grade is your responsibility. So if you are not paying attention to what grades you have, what assignments you have, what stuff you're missing, any of that, that's on you. I will not hound you. This is college. You're adults. So it's on you to make sure that you are fully aware of what your grades are and what you're doing, okay? For the grading scale, this is the grading scale. So you'll notice that a 90% is B+. So if you do not do anything beyond the bare minimums of the assignments, the highest grade you can get is a B. And that's assuming that you've done everything else up to that point. There's a lot of times where people do exactly the bare minimum, and that's all they want. They're fine with that. They don't want to go beyond. They don't want to do anything else. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. You're trying to get a job, I'm assuming, doing this kind of stuff. So you should always go beyond, okay? Frequently asked questions. So I wasn't here last class. Did I miss anything? What do we think? Yep, you always miss stuff. You're not here, you're going to miss it. The environment here is not just me standing up here and you guys working. A lot of this is just being away from the house environment in order for you to focus on your stuff. Being around your peers so you can see what other people are doing. That's why you're here. Anything that we do in this class, you could go onto YouTube and spend a couple hours and see, here's how I animate a bouncing ball, here's how I rig this, here's how I rig that. It's the environment and it's the direction you're after. So anytime you're not here, you lose out on those things. What's the best way to reach me outside my office hours? Email. Awesome. Can I bring food or beverage into class? Beverages only, yes. Can I bring in my own mouse or tablet? Yes. Make sure if you bring in a mouse, tablet, anything, device, you do not unplug any of the college's stuff. Leave that stuff plugged in. This table has a power strip. That table has a power strip. We found out that the back table doesn't. We'll get a power strip for that one if people need it. If you want to bring in your own laptop and work off that, that's fine too. The wall here has some power on the back wall, so you can actually plug right into that back wall. I'm not feeling well. Can I work at home? I don't have a ride to class today. Is it okay to work from home? I was called into work and can't make it to class today. Is that okay? Yes. It's fine for that. I mark it as an absence. You're still not here. You still miss stuff. But just be aware that anything that we do go over, you're still responsible for, okay? That's why I try to record stuff. I know people's schedule. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes things happen. So I put everything up on YouTube. You have to make sure that before you come to class, you're ready to go. Or if you can't before class, then before the next class after that, you're ready to go. Okay? Don't fall behind. It's very easy to do that. I finished my work. Can I leave early? You definitely can.
Oh. I say no.
Right.
I know that I've definitely done that.
That was a dad joke, see? Right. Legally, you can't. I can't keep you here. But should you? No, you definitely should not leave class early. There's always something else that you can do. There's always some tweaking to your animation that you can do. Do you know how long it takes a Pixar animator to animate 7 seconds of animation?
Probably a month.
40 hours. 40 hours. So imagine 1 week, one solid week of working for 7 seconds of animation. It's pretty insane, okay? So if you consider the fact that we're not going to spend 40 hours on any one assignment, we have a lot of work that we can always do to tweak these things, okay? Even just the rendering or the animation or how we're rendering it or different things that we're going to do to it, okay? I came in to turn in my work, but the college was closed. Is it okay to turn in my work late? I couldn't get a ride to the college to turn in my work. Can I turn it in late? I had problems with my assignment. No one could help me. I turned it in late. Not really a question. What do we think? Points deducted, yep. The client, me, does not care why your stuff is late. They want your stuff, okay? Typically in the industry, time is money. So if you don't get them their stuff on time, then you lose it. That's why I say at least turn in 75%. So if you're not fully done, we're rendering stuff out, it happens, you turn in what you have. That way I can see that's where we're at. We're not all the way at this stage when we should be at this stage, right? Cool. Any questions on that sheet? No, we're grooving. Got that one, got that one. It was quick. That's what it was. I will show that we do have a celebrity in the class. I don't know if anyone noticed. Oh, you guys don't need those. Oops. Anyone noticed? There's no celebrity. You guys don't notice a celebrity in the class?
I already have one in my figure.
What? I'm not the celebrity. I wasn't the one on the news, Mr. Mike. Oh. Oops. If you aren't aware of this, the college had a torch marathon over the summer. The community, Macomb community, or county, turned 200 years. And it was, I don't know if they have the pictures here. Probably not. Nope. Where was it? Macomb Daily? I don't know. I'd have to find the specific pictures. Maybe that's it. There we go. But people from the college got to run, and Mike was one of the marathon runners for that, which is awesome. And that was built by faculty and students, not only in our area, but also in the engineering area. And if you look at it, that's a horrible picture of it, isn't it? There you go. So that's the torch. So that was actually like 3D printed, and there's some metal on there. And this was CNC'd, and then that was 3D printed, and it was painted, and it's pretty awesome. So there. When you 3D print something. Boom. What was that?
I said, when you 3D print something, is that all the same material?
It is.
Same like filaments that you use to melt into the 3D model?
Yep, it's all the same. The hardest thing with doing it was because the torch itself was a canister. It was like a tiki torch type thing that was just nestled inside this 3D print. So getting everything to fit together was the trick. But we were able to do it. So I was luckily out of town when they did all this stuff, so I didn't have to do any extra work. Let Mike handle it. Where am I looking for? What paper did I just hand out? That one. Calendar, student agreement. There we go. All right, so welcome to fall 2018. Whether you're a returning student or a new student, the next weeks to months will provide you with opportunities to advance your life and your skills. Consider how much knowledge can be obtained while watching a 2-hour documentary. Sitting on the couch and seeing a story gives you insight into areas you may not have had any previous information. Knowledge without application is meaningless, though. In the 96 hours of class time, you will gain an extreme amount of information and the ability to apply it. If you do not push yourself to understand the tools and retain them, then why do it? You are not here to have fun, socialize, or do movie reviews. You are here to learn first and foremost. The fun will come as you get more comfortable with the tools, and there's nothing wrong with socializing or doing movie reviews unless you give spoilers, as long as your first priority, learning, is handled. Don't waste your time. You're not getting any younger, the material isn't going away, and neither is the competition. You have to dedicate time to learning and growing. It will not magically come to you. At your fingertips, and during each day, you have the ability to improve an incredible amount. You also have the choice to do nothing. You can rewatch your favorite Netflix series or learn how to master animation basics. You can play video games or perfect drawing a character. Think about who you want to be and where you want to be in 5 years. The steps you take today will move you toward that person. The choices, however small, do affect you. Focus on what you want to be and take steps towards it. That should have said effect you. Always a typo, every semester. So everything we do, we should be kind of focusing on the end goal, focusing on that person we want to be and moving towards that stuff. I have PlayStation at home. I have video games. I have a load of movies. But there's a rare time when I'm just sitting there watching a movie, or I didn't play video games at all this summer. I know, it's ridiculous. And even when I do, it's very little. It's like a couple hours here, and then that's it for another month. No, we got no time to dedicate to that. Mine's like Mortal Kombat. Go in there, play a couple rounds, and then get out. Yeah. Important links, contact.sarcona.net. If you're not on our mailing list, get on the mailing list. If there's a class that opens up, a presentation that happens, anything that I need to make students aware of, that's the spot to do it. So make sure you get on that and get yourself registered on there. Vimeo.com/groups/MCCMACA. And one day I will just leave those up here so I don't have to keep typing them in. Probably not. And every time it's the same thing. That should just be memorized, right? So this is a group on Vimeo. Vimeo, if you haven't used it before, is like YouTube, except it's a little bit cleaner interface. There's not any ads that show up. It's just like nice videos. It used to be basically when YouTube was kind of low res, Vimeo came out and was really high res and nice. And then YouTube had nice videos, but it's like ads all over the place. This doesn't have that. This group is former and current MACA students. And it's 70 members, so one person listened to me today and actually got on there. So you can go through here and you can look at some of these people's work. So let's see. So here's Justin Lemon. Here's Justin Lemon's reel. And you can see not only his reel, but you can also see different iterations of his reel. You can see different pieces he's worked on. And if you wanted to, you looked at his reel and said, that's what I want to do, you could contact Justin, obviously, through here and say, hey, I love what you did there. I'm an MACA student. You got any tips for me? Or can you look at my stuff? And typically, people are very receptive to doing that. Here's Nick. Here's some more stuff. This is using Cinema 4D and After Effects. Here's Amy Sundin. After Effects, Cinema 4D, Photoshop, Illustrator. There's Dave. There's Emily. Okay, so there's lots of different students that are on here that you can look at and see what work they're doing. Okay, so I recommend getting on there and joining that group. That way you can kind of be a part of that. Okay. Also, Behance, MotionSpire, and ArtStation. MotionSpire is not working today. I don't know if it's permanent. It's not working today. Behance and ArtStation are, though, also. This is another thing that I definitely want you to do is that will be part of your homework is to make a Behance page so that you have your stuff that you can start uploading your work to. I don't care how good your work is or how bad your work is, you need to start uploading your work to a portal. Does anyone have a Behance already? Good. There should be more. Should be everyone. So make sure you go on there, get a Behance page. You could also make an ArtStation page if you want to, but Behance for what we're doing is kind of more the realm. LinkedIn. How many in here have LinkedIn pages? About the same. All right. Again, you need a LinkedIn page. This is a way for you to show off your stuff to people who are in industry. You want to be seen. No one is going to find you. No one is going to care about your resume if you are not seen somewhere. So you have to get out there and you have to just start broadcasting who you are, what you can do, what you're capable of, so that when you do go out and apply for a job, people have maybe just heard your name or seen some of your artwork. If I look for jobs, this will also pull up jobs that are local if I type in Detroit. And if I search for Maya animation, and I spell it right, that's always better. Here's motion designer at Icon Mobile. Here's IT software for virtual reality. I'm not sure what they're doing there. Oh, look at that. Preferred quality, someone that knows Maya. Unreal, Maya, scripting. Yeah, looks like they're doing VR, but they also want some programming experience and some game development stuff in there. And then here's a motion designer at Icon Mobile, user interface, mobile designer, blah, 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 and you can read the rest of that. Okay, so what's cool about this is not only can you see jobs in the area maybe you're interested in, but you can also see the people who are posting it. You can also see other people in the area who might work there, and you may want to connect with them and say, hey, I'm applying for this job. Can you look at my reel, or can you get me in touch with someone, or can I get a tour of the place? There's nothing wrong with using that. That's basically what LinkedIn is for you to connect to people professionally, okay? Motion designer, senior motion designer at Ford, motion designer at Former, motion designer at Icon Mobile, motion designer at United Shore, UI UX motion designer, communications and graphic motion designer. Okay, lots of jobs are out there. It hurts you no way at all to go out there and see where these jobs are at, connect to people, connect to the companies, and start following them. The more connections you have, the more people see you, the better off you're going to be and the easier time you're going to have transitioning from student to professional in the industry. Hey, look at that. My profile matches this job, motion designer. I can contact Matthew Perlman.
Sean just walks out of the room going,
Yep,
guys.
I'm done. Oh, nope, I'm not a good communicator. Yep, there we go. Epic fail. So get a LinkedIn page. That's part of your homework also. So get a Behance, get a LinkedIn page, download the software. Improving your work skills. So these are things that without any practice, you could just start doing right away. Regardless of how you were yesterday, all of these things could make your work skills a lot better. Being punctual, being prepared, being accountable, working hard, being committed, having a great attitude, paying attention, and being helpful. When companies hire people, they are not only looking at your physical, like you can draw, you can animate, you can do whatever, they want all of these. And in some cases, they may want all of these more than they care about those other ones. They may have someone who is like a perfect digital candidate. They know everything about After Effects and motion design and animating stuff, but they don't have any of these. They're not going to bring them in. They want someone who has this stuff, who has the knowledge to go further, and they're willing to work with them to do that. Because they want someone who cares about the company, who is dedicated, who's going to meet the deadlines, not someone who's there just to kind of show off their stuff and not be accountable for things. Improve your learning skills. So number one on this list is your learning style. So who knows which way they learn best? Yes, sir.
By doing more. Usually following along with demos.
Right. So hands-on stuff. That's what we talked about last class, right? Hands-on is a great way to learn stuff, especially for this area, because that's what we're doing. We're doing hands-on stuff. What else? So one way to learn. That's why we're doing this, right? So, what was that? The best way to learn. For some, yeah. Me, the way that I learned is I have to do the hands-on eventually, but usually I like to do a little bit of research ahead of time. So anything that I do, I like to watch YouTube or read something about it and just get an idea about how it's supposed to work, then do the hands-on. Usually what happens is I screw it up, and then I have to go back to the videos and figure out what I did, and then come back and fix it all. And that's typically how I learn stuff, okay? Some people like to just read all about it and then apply. Some people like to just jump right in. Some people like to listen to it. Some people like to explain how the thing is supposed to work, and then that's how they're able to learn things. Okay, so for instance, I don't know how to set keyframes. The teacher's told me a bunch of times, so I'm going to try to explain that to somebody else. And in the process of me trying to explain it, I'm actually teaching myself how to set keyframes. Okay, so that does work. So the point of that is that if you are trying to learn something, and it's not working, choose a different style. Choose something else. Maybe hands-on is not what you should be doing. Some people like to jump into hands-on, and they have no idea what they're doing, and it just frustrates them, and they just fail at it. So doing a little bit of research and watching other people do it, or reading about it and then getting in there, or trying to explain to someone and then do it, that could help, okay? So your learning style is obviously an important one. Getting enough sleep is important as well. There's enough sleep and there's too much sleep. There's like this area, everyone's different, you have to find out where your area is. It might be 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, or 6 hours of sleep. Now don't confuse the fact that you might be tired with the fact that you want to sleep. Those are two completely different things. During the middle of the day, I can be tired because I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm just mentally exhausted, but I don't want to sleep. I just need to take a break from my brain, right? But there's times where I definitely need some sleep, right? So try to figure out when that best time is. Eating a healthy diet. You may already be eating a healthy diet, or you may be eating complete amount of junk food, okay? Find out where that balance is of eating a healthy diet, because eating a healthy diet will make your brain more able to run better. That's a horrible way to say that, right? I need more sleep, apparently. Yeah. Exercising is also an important thing. It's been proven that if you work out or exercise or briskly walk 10 minutes before a test, 15 minutes before a test, your test scores actually will improve, just based on the fact that you've given your body more oxygen, your brain more oxygen, you're more alert. Same thing. So there's nothing wrong with making sure that you have a little bit of energy before coming to class, before doing a test, before working on something. Especially when it's something that you're not comfortable with or you're not familiar with, it definitely does help to do that kind of thing. I used to go on a treadmill, and I would watch videos while I was on the treadmill. That way I can kind of justify, if I spend an hour on the treadmill, at least I'm learning something and I'm on the treadmill, so I'm like, double downing. Meditating, you can do this right before bed, you can do this right when you wake up in the morning, you can do it in the middle of the day. Just kind of go to a quiet place and just focus on breathing and just clearing your mind, okay? There's too many times where we're just like hammered with our thoughts all day long, and that's really what mentally exhausts people, is just that kind of thing. Social media, all that stuff. So just having an area just to kind of zone out and just reset is good to have. Practicing an instrument or foreign language is good. Someone in my other class drives an hour and a half to get to campus. So during that time, they have plenty of time to listen to a language on tape and learn another language. Imagine if you started a semester, an hour and a half here, an hour and a half back. By the end of the semester, you might be pretty good at, knowledgeable at least on that language. If you spent 3 hours a day practicing it, that's pretty decent. Or you can actually get like a book on tape, throw that in there, and then you have a book you can read every day, which is pretty good. You can't practice an instrument in the car, though. Drawing or doodling. We will be doodling, drawing for this class, so we'll be at least doing that one. And then keeping an open mind. The worst thing you can do, especially as a student, is say that something isn't going to work, like 100% guaranteed this isn't going to work, or this is stupid, or whatever, because you don't know, okay? I'm a pretty old guy, and I know that there's still stuff that I don't know. So I would never say that that is a for sure 100% could never happen kind of thing. I keep an open mind to stuff, okay? Over the summer, I read a book about waking up in the morning and doing these 6 things every morning, and I could have said, that's stupid, I want to sleep in. But I didn't. I just did it. I said, I'm going to try it out and see. And every morning I get up at 5 or 6, and I do these 6 things, and that's a good way to start the day. I also read another book about memory, another book about math is what I'm reading now, and then another book about, what was the other book I just read? I can't remember it right now. Yeah, I'm going to go back to my memory book. There's too many things going on today. Yeah. So you want to keep an open mind to these things so that you are at least like receptive to it, okay? Attendance policy. So I already went over this. You have 4 absences. You don't need to take 4 absences. You could have 4 absences if you need to. But definitely try to be here as much as possible. The equipment loan agreement. I will never be loaning you any equipment for this class. Everything is going to be in here. We do have tablets, tablet pens for this class. We really shouldn't need any of those, but we have them in case for some reason you want to paint a texture or whatever. You can loan them out, just make sure I get it back. Usage of hardware in classrooms. Save your work. To the desktops is not allowed. Don't work off the servers. That's simple stuff. Don't modify any background settings, any computer settings. Go into the computers, use them how you're supposed to use them, and then get off of them. No eating in here, no unplugging devices, simple stuff. All right, questions on that sheet? All right. That. Let's get the calendars. I'm here Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. So sometimes I say things, and I'm like, did I say that to this class, or did I say that to the other class? I am, and I didn't mean to teach 5 classes. I meant to only teach 3 classes, or 4 classes. But then this After Effects class had a wait list, and so then I had to teach the After Effects class at 8 p.m.
So you're teaching 15 hours a day? Are they all
8 a.m. to 11 p.m., so 12, 13, 14, 15, yep. 15 hours a day, and I have to get here early, right? So.
But you're just Monday, Wednesday then?
Just Monday, Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday I just sleep all day. All right, so the thing I just passed out was a calendar. It's a reminder every day to draw 15 minutes, okay? So that's number 1 that's on there. Number 2, if you look at Monday the 3rd, you'll see that it says no school Labor Day. So we will not be here that Monday. Just pay attention to that so you don't show up on that Monday. The 10th week, which is the October 27th, that's our last day that you have to draw that I will be checking it, okay? Every Monday when you come in, I will be checking your drawings. That day is the last time that you will have to draw something that I will check out, okay? And that's just easier for me with points and all that. After that, you'll still be drawing. I just won't be checking it, right? So you could technically not draw and I wouldn't notice, but you shouldn't. Especially if this is something you want to do. You should be drawing every day. November, we make up the Monday we missed, and then we are off for the rest of the week. And then December, we are done the 2nd week. Super quick, right? Use the calendar. Make sure you mark down like different due dates if you need to. Make sure you put it in your phone. Whatever works for you to make sure you're meeting those deadlines or keeping track of them, make sure you do that. I provide these just so you have a spot to do that. Questions on the calendar? All right. You guys get to do those. All right, so this, hey, how are you? Good. So these are just a fun little thing. And what you're going to do is I'm going to give you 15 seconds for each one of these boxes, okay? I will tell you what to draw in each box. You will draw what's in each box only for 15 seconds, then we'll move on to the next one. We will collect them at the end of class. Next class, hopefully, I will have all of them from all the classes kind of like combined somehow. And then we can actually look at them, and it'll be neat to see the differences between all of them, okay? So I'm going to